you're expecting a child, you imagine milestones such as their first steps or their first words. But sometimes the journey looks different. In Jamaica, thousands of families are raising children with disabilities. Behind that statistic are stories of parents, neighbors, entire communities pushing to give their children dignity, opportunity, and life. Today on Common Ground, we sit with Marvet Nelson, a mother who has spent nearly 20 years caring for her son Rowan, who lives with cerebral palsy. This is a story about devotion and about how far a mother's love can carry you. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. Let's find common ground. Marvet, we're so happy to have you here. You have to tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Marvet Nelson?
Marvet Nelson is a full-time employee with the Statistical Institute of Jamaica. I am a proud mother to a 19-year-old special needs boy. His name is Rowan Thompson. As you said before, he has cerebral palsy. His needs are many and varied. It's demanding, however, I do believe I'm up to the task. So that is my primary function, I believe, as a human being. Outside of that, there's not much else to me. Work, parenting, that's it. And it may seem a little boring, but I can tell you, I am never ever bored. Never.
Never ever bored.
Nope.
Now, Marvet, this is your first child, right?
Yes.
Yes, your first child. And when you were expecting Rowan, what were you imagining motherhood to look like?
Certainly not this. I was anticipating that I would be seeing him going to preschool. He would be hopping out of my car and he would be telling me to leave. Some parents are a little bit attached and I was kind of expecting that because I knew my child was going to be a little mouthy, I was expecting all kind of things, his graduation from high school and all these things. None of that happened. The journey has been anything but what I anticipated. But in carrying on, one learns to understand that the more things change, the more they remain the same. The only thing that is constant is change. Mm-hmm. So in dealing with him, I've had to take that approach, generally speaking. It's just a constant change, a constant adaptation. But like I said, never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
Nope.
So at what point did you learn that Rowan has cerebral palsy?
So, first of all, Rowan was born really early. He was born at 28 weeks and 2 days. So he should have been born, putting that in real terms for persons to understand, he should have been born August 15th, mm-hmm. and he was born on May 25th. So it was really early. So he went through a lot of stoppages, a lot of issues, and so on. Mm-hmm. So you would have expected that he wouldn't do stuff that kids would do at the particular time that you expect him to do so, because he was there battling for life. He had different stoppages in breathing. He had a lot of stuff going on with him. They were trying to save his life for the most part. Right. So we don't anticipate that he would be walking and doing everything that everybody else will be doing. But at perhaps 7 months old or so, I remember sitting with a social worker and she was saying, but he's not reaching for this stuff. So I'm saying, but remember, he's preemie, yeah. So he's not really doing the stuff, he's delayed. So she said, no, man, you should be doing a little bit more than that. Anyhow, I started noticing him doing something with his arm like this. He would just constantly be forcing the hand out. I showed it to his nurse, and she said, let's get him checked out. So I went to Yui. I saw... Well, not you at first. I went to a private doctor. She's a pediatric neurologist. And after the assessment, she gave me the news, and I was broken. That was not a day I like to remember. I sat in the office, and she was harsh. She was forceful. She hit me with everything. Oh, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to be able to talk. He's not going to be, he's going to be unintelligible. There was no hope. It was just shattering. Yeah. I sat there and I listened to her. I don't react to things on the spot. Mm-hmm. I tend to hold myself together until I get a moment to reflect, and then that is when it comes. And I sat there I was with the babysitter at the doctor's office, and I gave her Rowan, and I went outside and I sat down. I called a friend of mine on the phone, and I was explaining to him, and my God, a ball. I cried so much. I didn't even know I had so many tears because I'm not a crybaby, you know. But it was something that earth-shattering, because you don't anticipate this. You're having a child, you make your plans, you do everything. You don't see anybody else in your immediate circle. You know, there are children with disabilities and issues and so on, but you don't anticipate it happening to you. This is not something that comes to you when you are pregnant, especially for the first time.
Right.
You know, so it was really, really difficult.
And what kind of support did you get in those early days? Like, did you feel that you had support, or you largely had to figure it out on your own?
Even though this journey has been difficult, I can tell you, I've always had support. Sometimes I didn't feel that it was enough. Sometimes I felt that it was overwhelming. Sometimes I had too many advisors. Sometimes it was a bit much sometimes, but through it all, I had somebody who was there, my mom, my friends, my co-workers, every single one of them, all of them, they stood by me. I don't know. I mean, life was hard for me, but every day I got up and I got up to calls. I got up to people calling me to say, how you doing today? How things with Rowan? And, you know, when is he going to go back to clinic and all of these things? And sometimes it would seem like it's a small thing. But at the end of the day, if you're there going through this thing, and just to know that somebody remembers to call out of their life, because no matter what is happening, you know, people have to live their own lives.
True.
So would call and say to you, Marvet, what's happening? People would call me and say, do you have enough money for this today? And this is the day when I don't have any money, you know. So through it all, I am very, very grateful, because there were always people who were there to support me, no matter what.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing with us, Marvet. What we're hearing, there is a need for community and for people to support those that they know may be going through difficult times.
Definitely. And sometimes it's difficult for us to reach out because you're drowning. It's not easy, you're drowning. And sometimes if you see a situation, no matter how small it is, it's not necessarily things that you can buy. It's not necessarily, it's reaching out is a kind word, and sometimes it does require funds. Sometimes it does require somebody to say to you, I have a small piece of yam, would you like a piece? Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Marvet. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a break now, but we'll be right back with more Common Ground. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Danielle Mullings. We've been having a riveting conversation with Marvet Nelson, a mother of Rowan who has cerebral palsy. She's taken the time to share some pictures with us, so take a look. We're back in studio with Marvet. Now, we've just seen some of your pictures, Marvet. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I want to start asking, in terms of, how you make sense of this situation and your life overall. Like, what do you think are some key lessons that you have learned and that raising Rowan has taught you about life?
Life can be really hard. Outside of that, you have to learn to develop a sense of purpose, a sense of duty, and I do mean it's duty, because he's my son, And many times I have been challenged, and I have thought to myself, well, perhaps I can't keep him anymore. I need to do something different. It's been suggested more than once that I put him in a facility, and I have never given up. But each day you have to find that sense of duty within yourself. You go to your bed, and you're so tired at the end of the day, and you're going to your bed and you say, I can't manage, I can't manage this, I can't do this. You wake up in the morning and he says to you, Mommy, kiss. You have to start all over again. That commitment is just right there with you altogether. So I mean, life generally, what Rowan has taught me, find your purpose, work towards it, recommit. And it's not a one-time event. You have to keep doing it over and over again. Sometimes people think I'm brave, but there was an anecdotal thing that I read that says, bravery, it's not about a loud roar. Sometimes it's a quiet voice that says to you, at the end of the day, even if it didn't accomplish what you set out to, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Pretty much that's what it does. He has made me grow in so many ways. I thought I was a whole person. I thought I was this wonderful lady before Rowan. And then I found out I was just there existing. When you have purpose, there's a lot. You discover yourself, you discover your strengths, you discover people, you discover, sometimes bad situations present to you who are good people.
Wow. And as you've gone through this journey, what do you wish more Jamaicans understood about raising children with cerebral palsy?
They're there. No mother or father, for that matter, made a decision to say, okay, this is the child I want with cerebral palsy. It comes to you. You have to live with it. People need to understand that they didn't ask to be here. You don't need to abuse them. You don't need to be rough with them. They're all there. There's a lot for people to learn about them. For cerebral palsy specifically, they're all there. It's the body that keeps them trapped.
Right.
So if you don't understand, sometimes people might be saying stuff, they badmouth you behind your back, and then they're thinking that this little fool boy don't have no sense. I remember one time I had a babysitter who, I don't remember what she did, but after the fact, I said to her, Rowan, did she do anything to you? Did she hit you or anything like that? No. But I said, but you don't like her. Why don't you like her? She coughed. And my son doesn't have much speech. He doesn't have much speech. But to think that somebody would be there badmouthing his mother behind her back, and then to think that he would not be aware of what is happening. They're all there. So that is one point to regard. They're all there. They weren't asked to be here. They didn't ask to come here. So you have to take that approach. Persons out there, they don't need pity either. They don't need pity. Don't look at them and cry and act as if they're a scourge or there's something emotional that don't do that. They want inclusion. They want love. They're very, very, very loving children. Very loving children. And just know that they're all there. They're paying attention.
So if you could shape a more supportive Jamaica for children like Rowan or with different disabilities, what should that look like?
Well, yeah, that one. So, first of all, we need... Parenting is not necessarily second nature to most people. So, parenting is a hard job. We need people with skills, people with expertise, with training, with experience to explain to persons. Have for them, once a diagnosis comes in, refer them to a special area, a social worker, a psychologist. Have support groups for them, because it is definitely not easy. That's one. When you think about the state, we live in a country we pay taxes. I'm a government worker. I'm unable to be on the social protection program because I have a job.
Okay.
That's really unfair. Because first of all, everything for Rowan, it's way more expensive. I have to pay more for care. People pay for regular babysitter. I have to pay a practical nurse because it requires more. It costs me more. I have to have a car at all times to get him to the doctor. His wheelchairs, they're more expensive, every single thing.
Yeah.
And it's the one person that all of these expenses are coming from. And so, because I have a job, I'm precluded from being a beneficiary to the social protections that are offered to other persons out there. But at the same time, I'm not precluded from the expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Medication, doctor's visits, care, diapers. Don't let me start. It's a lot. So there's much more that can be done for them. I have put thought into developing an organization that we can get stuff for them put together. The wheelchairs are there. Some of them, it's cerebral palsy is a thing that you are required to change according to the needs of the child.
Right.
It's always tailor-made. So you have this one child, some of them will be slumping this way, some will be able to sit a little bit more than some will have speech issues, and some will not. Some will be stiff, some will be constantly moving, and some have both. So each situation, you need tailor-made. So I am thinking that I ought to, if I do find the time, I ought to have a group that I can spearhead these. I can get the specified persons involved. I can get the wheelchair persons. I can get the therapists. I can get the social workers. So that there's an outreach, there's a group that they belong and that they can be supported. If we don't do that, I feel most times that my candle is lit at both ends. Mm-hmm. And I feel that I'm burning out at my age. Sometimes I think to myself, I don't know how long I'll live, considering the amount of work that I have to put in,
right.
The amount of sleep that I get. Sometimes I tell myself it's untenable, and I just have to pray, dear God, spare me.
Thank you so much, Marvet. I think you're highlighting that there's a need for expertise and support as we deal with complex conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a break now, but we'll soon be back with more Common Ground. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Danielle Mullings. We've been speaking with Marvet Nelson, a mother of Rowan who has cerebral palsy. Now, in this closing segment, I want to ask you, after nearly 20 years, what are you most proud of?
That I'm alive, that I'm sane. That I'm able to still look at my son and still know that I still love him and still committed to the task of taking care of him. I don't know where it will end, but I do believe that it should be good. I'm not certain, but I am most proud of those two things.
And you know what you've just said links to what the analogy you gave earlier about quiet persistence and showing up each day, because that's what you've done for nearly 20 years, which is no easy feat. No easy feat at all.
I can tell you.
But if you could speak directly to a mother or father who's maybe just gotten similar news, maybe not the same, but similar news, what would you tell them?
Hold on. It's going to be a rough ride, but don't hold it too tight. Because one thing for sure, you will need to adjust as the situation presents itself. Mm-hmm. And have faith. Something you may not see your way initially, but don't worry, one foot before the other.
The way will appear.
Yes.
And right now, what would make the biggest difference for you and Rowan? I think you mentioned needing a specialized wheelchair. Could you tell us what that would mean for Rowan and improving his quality of life?
Well, yes. So I do need a specialized wheelchair at the moment. So Rowan likes going out. He enjoys going out. But for the past maybe 6 months or so, or thereabout, we haven't been able to take him out because he had a wheelchair that was, that one was donated to, thanks to Dr. Mullings. So he had a wheelchair, that one, he outgrew it. So he's not able to use it any at all. He has been missing his clinic appointments because he's become much bigger. Right. I'm not able to manage to just lift him and lug him to take him into the hospital. And so we need a new chair.
So, Marvet, how can people reach you if they'd like to support with a wheelchair or otherwise?
Okay, so support can be reached through talking to me, and I'm at 876-898-0025.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marvet. And, something that has stuck with me from your story,
yes.
My grandma always says, there go I, but by the grace of God, meaning that I could be in, you could be in any position just based on, how the cards of life are played. But it's important for us to remember that, we're all in this life together, and the support that we provide each person, just even calling, as you said earlier, or giving financial support where possible, it makes a difference because we're there for each other and helping people get through life.
Exactly. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for having me. I do hope my story has brought light to the plight of persons living with disabilities and for parents who need support.
Thank you so much for joining us, Marvet. Her story has reminded us that disability is a shared responsibility. And as young people, we have a responsibility to support and sustain others. It's truly amazing how far a mother's love can carry us. And as a progressive Jamaica, that's what we're moving towards, a progressive Jamaica. That's one where every child, regardless of ability or state in life, is given dignity, care, and opportunity. It truly does take a village. I'm your host, Danielle Mullings. Thanks for joining us on Common Ground.